Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well. In today's video, I want to discuss with you a book that I recently read a few weeks ago and I absolutely loved. So I am talking about Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. If you don't know already, it's an American classic. It's a very famous story and there's also a movie based on it which I want to watch. The book is set in the backdrop of the American Civil War and it follows its protagonist, who is Scarlett O'Hara. She's a young girl and she's like, a Southern belle. So she's like very pretty, very charming, and all the boys want her, and she's very pampered. And she doesn't really know a lot of hardships in life. So all the worries that she have are about what to wear, who's marrying whom, which party to go to, stuff like that. So she initially also feels very shallow and very vain, and honestly, I was not enjoying her character. But once you are a few pages into the book, once you reach the point where the war has started and things are changing around the town, around the country, you kind of start seeing different aspects to Scarlett's personality, and you start developing interest in her character. At least I did. So we see, how she's now faced with the harsh realities of life, and she gets to know that life is not just about pretty dresses, pretty jewelry, about boys, about marrying, about courting people, stuff like that. There's a lot more to life, and now she's suddenly faced with it. And what I really like, is that we see her, yes, we see her being very uncomfortable because she's not getting the luxuries that she's used to, she's not getting the attention that she's used to. But even after being uncomfortable, we also see her conquering these situations in her own ways. So we see her making the most of her situations. We see her getting past what life is throwing at her, and we see her doing this better than a lot of men in the story. And I mention this because the book also, kind of explores and brings into plain sight the kind of world it was for men and for women. So there were, like always, even today, there are certain codes of conduct that are set in the society for women, how women are supposed to behave, not supposed to behave, what they're supposed to do, not supposed to do, stuff like that. And similarly for men also. So in those times, the book tells us how women were expected to be these very, very delicate creatures, and who were not supposed to be exposed to what lay outside the house. So they were just supposed to stay at home, cook and sew, and take care of the family, of the children, and leave everything that's happening outside the four walls to the men of the family, irrespective of the fact that who's more capable of handling what kind of situations. And that is why I love Scarlett. She's one of my favorite heroines in English literature because she kind of defies all those norms. And one thing I just want to mention is that I'm not here, judging Scarlett as a character morally at all, because once you start reading the book, you'll kind of see that, at some places you really appreciate the courage that Scarlett is showing, how she is getting past her situations, but you will also think that that's morally wrong. And morals are, anyways, a very subjective topic, so just putting that out of the way. So, and what she does by defying those ridiculous norms and expectations is that she stands up for so many women, and not just the women of her time, but I think even women today. I think that's also a little unfortunate that times have changed so little. They have changed, but there are still problems. So she stands for a lot of women who feel that, they are limited just because of being a woman. And they are capable of so much more than they are credited for. And not all women, even at that time, we see through other characters, not all were brave enough to acknowledge this fact that they are being limited and they are capable of doing things and stuff like that. So I have a lot of examples that I can share with you from the book, but I don't want to make the video very lengthy, but I'll still share a couple of them. So sharing about how these notions of womanhood were so internalized that even women didn't see the need to question them. So Ellen is Scarlett's mother, and this is something that's written about Ellen in the book, and I want to share it with you. So it says, Ellen's life was not easy, nor was it happy, but she did not expect life to be easy. And if it was not happy, that was a woman's lot. It was a man's world, and she accepted it as such. The man owned the property, and the woman managed it. The man took the credit for the management, and the woman praised his cleverness. The man roared like a bull when a splinter was in his finger, and the woman muffled the moans of childbirth, lest she disturb him. Men were rough of speech and often drunk. Women ignored the lapses of speech and put the drunkards to bed without bitter words. Men were rude and outspoken. Women were always kind, gracious, and forgiving. So, this is just one example of what the world looked like. These are all the things that Scarlett refuses to accept, unlike her mother, who takes it as a given, who thinks that yes, that is how things are, that is how it's supposed to be. Now, sharing some other examples of what was and was not expected of women in a society. So, at a point in the story, we see that to make ends meet and to survive in the aftermath of the war, Scarlett decides to step into the world of business. And while you think it's not a big deal in today's world, yes, it's not. But decades ago, I think it was, because we get to see through this story also that women were not supposed to enter the world of business because they were not supposed to be intelligent. So, as it says, it was still worse for a woman to show publicly that she could do mathematics like that. So, just always pretend that you are stupid. She was actually making money out of the mill, and no man could feel right about a wife who succeeded in so unwomanly an activity. So, making money was unwomanly. A woman had no business even knowing what a mortgage was. So I'm not even kidding you. I have so many examples of things like these from this book, and that's why I absolutely just love it. How it explores all these gender equations. I absolutely loved reading it, and I loved reading Scarlett's response to all this. So while through Scarlett we kind of see um see women as they really were, through other female characters like Melanie, like her mother Ellen, like her aunt. We see the kind of women the society wanted more of, the kind of the ideal woman. Now, moving from that topic, let's come to another favorite character of mine. I think in all of literature, he's one of my favorite male characters, and it is Red Butler. I'm absolutely in love with the character. Again, not saying anything on moral grounds, but I mean, I enjoyed reading Red Butler so much, and I think he's very, very similar to Scarlett in a lot of ways. So they are both very scandalous characters. So even Red Butler defies what's, expected of a man, or of a good man. He makes you question what's good, what's not. So he's very practical, very much based in reality. He does what he wants to, he does what profits him, and he doesn't really care about what people say about him. And again, just like Scarlett, he is also subjected to a lot of hate around the town. And the fact that they become a couple and the whole town is like just not having it, it's so much fun to read. So they're also one of my favorite couples in literature. Reading them is so much fun. They are just so sassy. Just really enjoyed reading them. So, I have a lot to say about Red Butler, but I don't want to make this video very long. Other topics, that the book touches, one of them is slavery. Again, instead of, trying to make comments about slavery, it kind of just puts the facts into your face that this is how the situation was. And in that way, it makes a kind of social commentary. And you see, how it's so unfortunate that, even some people who were slaves had internalized it so much that they did not think it was wrong, and they did not want it to end. Of course, there are a lot of descriptions of the war itself, how the fighting happened and what it meant for everyday life, how everyday life just drastically changed for the worse, obviously, what it meant for the soldiers, what kind of life they had to lead, and the kind of emotions that encouraged people to join the war even after seeing that they are losing, and the situations are not so good. So a lot of descriptions about the war, which, to be very honest, at a point I was a little irritated and I just wanted the war to be over. But I think it is this very detailed description of the war that lets the book make the kind of impact that it did, at least on me. And then it in the same kind of details, it also discusses what happened after the war. So it's not like the war ended and things went back to being beautiful or being the way it was. No. So it tells us how the war changed the world, changed their country, their town, their neighborhood forever. Um, and I think what's very interesting is that it is in those scenes of the aftermath of war that you actually start seeing the kind of woman that Scarlett O'Hara is. That's kind of the peak of your appreciation for her character. That's, I think, what I feel. So the book is like very thick, and it took me a really, really long time to finish it. But once I finished it, I just wanted to read more. So that's how attached I was to the story and to the characters. I think it's a lovely, lovely book, and I think everyone should read it. It has so much in it, that I can go on talking about it. So it has this amazing couple, Scarlett and Red. Amazing heroine Scarlett. Red, again, a brilliant character, and even other characters. You have a lot to explore through them also. And I always thought that historical fiction is not something I enjoy until I read Gone with the Wind. So it also led me to you know have an interest in the genre. Overall, I think it was one of my favorite reads of the year, and even though it is so thick, I want to read it once again. So, yeah, I think I have a lot more to share from the book, but I'm not doing it in this video. So, if you want to also see what I'm sharing, you can follow me on my Instagram. I'll share all my other thoughts over there. And I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you did, then please do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell icon, because whenever I'll be posting, you'll be notified first. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.